morning. Ooh, I'm so glad to see you. Hi. How are you? Come on down, come on down. We'll make room. Everybody can get in. I want you to see what I have here today. It's glass. Does it look like glass? What's it look like? Plastic? What about like hair or string or... Yeah, kind of, huh? Doesn't look like glass. But you know what's really cool is this is fiber optic glass. And it's just fun to look at, isn't it? It's clear and it's kind of shiny and... But you know what? What's that? It looks like crystals. It does, doesn't it? But you know what's the most fascinating thing about this? You can't even tell right now. The most fascinating thing about this, and the reason it was made, is that it's made to carry light. It carries light. Fiber optic cable can carry light, like one little spark of light, all the way across the ocean and around the world. And it's still just as bright on the other end as it is when you began. You want to see? I'll show you what fiber optic is really. Cool. Do you see that?
Glowing.
Can you see how the color comes all the way through the glass and it comes out the end? And if this glass was 100 miles long, it would still come out the end like that. That's cool, isn't it?
Light never stops.
Never
It
stops.
always goes until it hits something.
Light never stops.
It always goes until it hits something.
It always goes until
But
it
if
hits
it's
something.
glass or something that reflects light, you get reflected, like we're saying. Light goes light. So if light hits white, like that book over there, which is adorable, it'll get reflected.
That's right. So light keeps going until it's up. And the reason I wanted you to see this is because, you know what? We are like this fiber optic glass in that we are made to carry the light. And we're pretty cool all by ourselves, but man, we are really special when we are doing what we are made to do. And when we talk about the light in church, we're almost always talking about God, about the love of God, which is so bright and so beautiful. And so this is how God makes God's self known all around the world. He shines through us. She shines through us. God comes alive. And then you can see God at work through us because we are made to carry that light. Is that cool or what? All right. Now what happens when we're away, when we're not connected to the source of the light? Are we still carrying the light? Not very well, right? We can reflect a little bit. But this is when we're best, when we're most beautiful, when we're connected to the source of the light. That's what I want you to remember, because who's the source of the light? God.
Let me show you an example. Only So when you're not connected to the light, it doesn't shine at us. But if you are connected to the light, you shine the best.
And that is the moral of this story. Let us pray. Dear light, dear God, dear love, dear heart of us all, shine so brightly through us that people can see you at work in us. Let us be those who carry your love all around the world. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Now guess what? I have a little gift of light for you, and I'm going to ask Chance to be my helper, and I'm going to make sure that you can carry a little bit of light out into the world. But I want you to mostly remember that you are the light. Jesus said, you are the light. You carry the light of God in you. So we're going to make sure that each of you has a little fiber optic light of your own. Whoa.
I would like one of those things on my own.
We're going to make sure you get one that you can wear on your finger. Cool. Because not only are you the light, you can point to the light. Amen? Amen. All right. I'm going to dismiss the children to Sunday school in just a moment. And when I do that, I'm going to invite you all to stand up and let your little light shine while you welcome someone to worship. A little bit of sibling rivalry, that never happens in the Bible. while. This particular story comes to us from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 10, verses 38 through 42. Hear these words and find yourself within them. Now, as they went on their way, Jesus entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Martha had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me." The Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken away from her." The Word of God, thanks be to God. Amen. We saw how hurry steals our best intentions, our highest goals, how it interferes with our ability to love our neighbors as ourselves. But this week, we see that worry does the same thing. Worry does the same thing. It keeps the love from coming through. It also steals our joy and our peace and our patience along the way. See, Martha loved the Lord. Martha believed in him. And no one can fault her for her level of service and commitment. Martha welcomed Jesus and his disciples into her home in Bethany, just outside Jerusalem, long after it had become unsafe for her to do so, even though there was a price on his head. Martha loved Jesus. And here's this woman not wealthy enough to have servants, who spared no expense entertaining these honored guests in her home, preparing a lavish meal as a labor of love. But it's not the love that gets remembered in this story. It's not the food either. Luke doesn't record a single item on Martha's menu that day. Not the fresh fruit salad with the goat cheese vinaigrette, or the perfectly seasoned lamb stew with a little dumpling simmering on top, or even the fig bars that she stayed up all night the night before to make. None of this is remembered. Whatever she was slaving over in the kitchen is lost to history. We'll never know, because Luke didn't post a single photo of the meal. Instead, he captures this whole silly argument word for word. He captures Martha saying this: "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work?" And that's what everyone remembers. And then to top it all off, Jesus takes Mary's side. Your prayer's always taking Mary's side. He says, Mary has chosen the better part. Here's Martha trying to love the Lord with all her heart, mind, soul, and strength. So where did she go wrong? Jesus says she's worried and distracted by many things. It's like she got so busy working for the Lord that she neglected to spend time with him. She forgot why she was doing all that she was doing. And then pretty soon it just became a chore that nobody else saw or appreciated either. And it wasn't feeding her soul anymore. Listen, work is important. It's important. You can't follow Jesus and not get your hands dirty. But so is feeding your soul. The Bible says there's a time for every purpose under heaven. And most likely Mary had been working right alongside her sister in the kitchen most of the day, just like all of the other women. Most likely she had risen early to fetch water and to care for their many guests. But then as the meal is being served, it became time to eat, and when the Messiah began to speak, well, Mary just settled herself right down on the floor to listen. And everything else took a back seat. Mary was in the presence of God, and I'm sorry, she would not be moved. There is a need for work, but there is also a very real need to recognize the presence of God and to rest a while there, to feed your soul, because that will do for you what nothing else can do. That will make everything else you do more. More. The Bible says, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, those are gifts of what? The Spirit. Those are gifts of the Spirit. And that means that they are most alive in us when we are connected to our source, when we are reaching out and touching God. And when we neglect our own spiritual needs, it's these gifts of the Spirit, these very Christ-like qualities that are the first to go. Without love, right? Without love, nothing else we do really matters, is what Paul says. And without joy, without peace, everything else we do is diminished. It just becomes a chore. Even loving the people we want to love becomes harder. Jesus said, I am the vine, and you are the branches. Abide in me, and I will abide in you, and you will bear much fruit. Because apart from me, you can do nothing. That's something to keep in mind. Because if we're not careful, we, trying to love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, we can quickly become like Martha, exhausted, drained, frustrated, angry, burned out, even sick. Because we're not meant to operate like that. We're just not meant to do that. We can't do God's work without the power of the living God flowing in and through us. It's just never meant to do that. That's why Jesus told his disciples, stay in Jerusalem until the Holy Spirit comes upon you. Don't go anywhere without that. Don't leave home without it. Because we aren't made to go it alone. We are designed, we're created to work in relationship with our God, the God of love and light. And things get dark in a hurry when we forget that and try to go it alone. Nobody is so good that you can be a Christian, you can be a person of faith without your source, without plugging into what is holy. Because like optic fibers, we are designed to carry the light, but we are not the source of the light. And if there are bright places in us, it's because we are connected to our source. Our lives light up when we are touching God. How many of you ever seen an eagle soaring in the wild? Man, that's just an inspiring sight, isn't it? It's like you can't take your eyes off of it. It's something wild and free. Eagles aren't like any other birds. For one thing, they fly a whole lot higher than other birds can fly. And eagles soar, not because they have mastered the wind, but because they have learned how to surrender to it. They have learned how to surrender to the wind. They develop a keen sensitivity to the moods and the music of the air, and they can sense the subtle changes in the powerful currents around them. So they adjust themselves until they are at one with the sky. Eagles soar because they know what humans are reluctant to comprehend, that there are great invisible forces at work all around us. Forces that we can't see or understand or control, but that nevertheless can be relied upon to lift us higher than we could ever go alone. Unimaginable power for those who would surrender to it. This is a really good time for this lesson in the life of our church because we're going to be really busy in the days and weeks ahead. We've got a list of to-dos and a list of projects that include some paint and some landscaping and some carpeting. And we're going to start gearing up for our ministries in the fall. How about you? Are there things in your lives that are keeping you worried and distracted about many things? C.S. Lewis said, you don't have to tempt a good person into sin. All you got to do is keep them distracted. That'll keep them from doing what God intended for them to do. I think it's time to stand back and draw some inspiration from these two faithful women. And when it's time to work, we'll work. And when it's time to sit in the presence of God, we'll sit in the presence of God. And we will reconnect to the thing that matters most. And we will move forward in ways that are powerful and sure. Jesus said, you are worried and distracted by many things, but there is need of only one thing. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. And let the rest of that fall into place. Amen? I have a poem, I never do this, but I want to close with a poem by Mary Oliver because I just love it. It's called I Worried. I worried a lot. Will the garden grow? Will the rivers flow in the right direction? Will the earth turn as I was taught? And if not, how shall I correct it? Was I right? Was I wrong? Will I be forgiven? Can I do better? Will I ever be able to sing? Even the sparrows can do it, and I am, well, hopeless. Is my eyesight fading, or am I just imagining it? Am I going to get rheumatism, lockjaw, dementia? Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing and gave it up and took my old body and went out into the morning and sang. Amen. Let's sing together this morning. Hymn number 26.